At exactly 2:17 a.m., the girl who once rode in convoys of armored cars was kneeling in dirty rainwater on a Lagos street, shaking with fear, clutching nothing but regret. Just 6 hours earlier, she was popping champagne in a luxury club. Now, strangers had taken everything she owned: her phone, her jewelry, her pride, and almost her dignity. What nobody knew was that this fall was not the end of her story. It was the beginning of a destiny that would shake her father's empire, expose a wicked lie, and prove that money can buy comfort, but never character. Vanessa Stone was born into a world where money answered before questions were asked. At just 22 years old, she lived in a mansion so massive that first-time visitors often got lost inside it. The house stood proudly in one of the wealthiest areas of Lagos, hidden behind towering electric gates reinforced with steel, watched constantly by security cameras and armed guards who worked day and night. Inside the compound, everything whispered power. Perfectly trimmed green lawns stretched endlessly. Fountains glowed softly at night, their water dancing under golden lights. A long, polished driveway displayed luxury cars like trophies, SUVs, limited edition sports cars, armored vehicles, and sleek electric models manufactured by her father's own company. This was not just a home, it was a kingdom. Vanessa Stone was the only child of Mr. Richard Stone, one of the richest men in Africa, and the owner of a massive electric automobile empire that supplied vehicles across the continent. Politicians sought his approval. Businessmen feared his decisions. The media followed his every move. To the world, Vanessa was a billionaire's princess. To herself, she was untouchable. Her bedroom alone looked like a five-star hotel suite. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city skyline. Walk-in closets overflowed with imported designer clothes. Shelves of handbags cost more than most people's houses. Shoes were arranged by color, brand, and season. Mirrors lined the walls, reflecting luxury from every angle. Some clothes still had their price tags on. If a new phone was released, she bought it, even if the old one was barely used. If a brand launched a new collection, she ordered it without checking the price. Money meant nothing to Vanessa because she never had to earn it. She rarely woke up early. When she bid, it was usually after a long night of partying. Breakfast was prepared by chefs, drivers waited downstairs, stylists and makeup artists were on call. Most mornings began with her phone, scrolling, posting, showing off. Luxury breakfasts, designer outfits, private jets, club lights, champagne glasses. Thousands admired her life online. Millions followed her. Vanessa Stone was a social media celebrity, invited to exclusive events, tagged by clubs, reposted by luxury brands. People didn't know her personally, but they knew her name. At Royal Crest University, one of Lagos's most expensive private universities, Vanessa was a legend. She was enrolled as a student, but school meant little to her. Most days, she skipped lectures. When she showed up, it was dramatic. Cars pulled up, doors opened, heads turned. She walked into lecture halls late, dressed boldly, confidently, unapologetically. Conversations stopped, phones came out, whispers filled the room. One afternoon, she entered a lecture hall 30 minutes late. The lecturer paused mid-sentence. "Miss Stone, do you know this is a place of learning, not a fashion runway?" Vanessa smiled slowly, dropped into her seat and crossed her legs. "Sir," replied she casually, "does my outfit change the topic you are teaching?" The class gasped. The lecturer frowned. "Can you tell us what we are discussing?" She shrugged. "Something about economics, right?" Laughter erupted. The lecturer shook his head in disappointment. "You are wasting your opportunity." Vanessa leaned back, unbothered. "It's fine. Opportunity is not going anywhere." Exams never worried her. She paid people to write them. Grades were purchased, problems disappeared. At night, Vanessa truly came alive. Lagos Quabs knew her name. She arrived with her friends, Linda, Tracy, and Nora, girls who followed her everywhere. Tables were reserved before she arrived, bottles lined up like soldiers, music blasted louder when she walked in. She paid for everything. Bottles, rides, clothes, flights. She sprayed money freely, laughing as cash floated through the air. Drinks flowed endlessly. Her friends cheered her on, feeding her ego and excitement. Men constantly tried to approach her, drawn by her beauty, fame, and wealth. She treated most of them with open disrespect. "Is that all you can afford?" she would laugh. Sometimes she threw money at them, not to give, but to shame. Her friends laughed along. To Vanessa, money was power, and she used it without mercy. From the outside, she looked happy. She looked free. She looked like she had everything. But deep inside, behind the designer clothes, the fame, the laughter, and the lights, something was broken, and Vanessa Stone refused to see it.
Vanessa Stone was no longer just a rich girl at Royal Crest University. She had become a name. On campus, students whispered when she walked past. Phones appeared in hands. Cameras flashed. Her friends giggled behind her back, hoping to be noticed just by association. Even lecturers paused mid-sentence when her heels clicked down the corridor. Outside school, club owners smiled the moment they saw her car pull up, windows tinted, engine roaring, a display of wealth that demanded attention. On social media, she was unstoppable. Pictures of sparkling dresses, flashing lights, luxury drinks, private lounges, and expensive smiles spread like wildfire. Stories tagged her everywhere. Rooftop parties, VIP lounges, exclusive brand launches. To many young people in Lagos and even abroad, Vanessa looked like the definition of success. But the life she lived came without rules. Every weekend, sometimes even on weekdays, she partied. One night, a rooftop club overlooking the city skyline, lights sparkling across the harbor. The next, a private lounge where bottles arrived endlessly at her table before she even sat down. Music shook the walls, bass vibrating through the floor. Vanessa danced harder than anyone else, spinning, laughing, unapologetically herself. Her friends, Linda, Tracy, and Nora, never worried about money. Vanessa paid for everything: tables, bottles, rides, even security. They cheered her loudly, laughed at every joke, followed her every step. But when the night ended, they disappeared. Vanessa drank heavily. Sometimes she lost track of time. Sometimes she lost control. On more than one occasion, she passed out and was carried home by one of the mansion's security men, her head resting on his shoulder as rain or street lights passed by. She woke the next morning with vague memories, a bitter taste in her mouth, and a strange emptiness. At school, things only got worse. Lecturers warned her repeatedly. "Miss Stone, your attendance is unacceptable," one professor said, frowning. "You cannot continue to miss lectures and expect to pass." Vanessa smiled lazily. "Sir, perhaps my future isn't in this class." Another lecturer, notebook in hand, shook his head. "You are bright, but your work ethic is absent." She shrugged. "Grades can be bought. Knowledge is optional." Male classmates tried to approach her politely, hoping to impress her with charm or intelligence, but Vanessa looked down on them with thinly veiled contempt. "Don't waste my time," she snapped at one, her tone sharp enough to cut glass. "You can't even afford my shoes," she told another, flicking her designer heel against the floor. Her friends laughed loudly. The male students slunk away, embarrassed and defeated. Some days, she humiliated them for sport, pulling out crisp notes, waving them as if they were a test of obedience. Respect to Vanessa came from money, not character. Yet, behind closed doors, something felt wrong. After one particularly wild party, she returned to her bedroom, the suite larger than most apartments but colder now in the absence of care. The night had left its mark: smudged makeup, tangled hair, bloodshot eyes. She stared at her reflection in the full-length mirror. Her lips curved slightly, but the smile felt hollow. Her eyes, usually sparkling with mischief, looked tired, searching for something she could not name. For a brief moment, silence filled the space where music usually lived. Let's take a pause for a moment, dear viewers.
Creating stories like Vanessa Stone's world, the clubs, the drama, the rise and fall, takes countless sleepless nights, hours of planning, and pure dedication. Every twist, every character, every scene comes from hard work and imagination. If you are enjoying the journey so far, you can support this channel by subscribing to African Folktales with Onya. Your subscription tells me you care about these stories, that you want more, and it helps keep the stories coming. Thank you for being here, for watching, and for sharing in this journey. Now, let's continue with Vanessa's life as fame and fortune begin to shape her in ways she has yet to understand. Vanessa shook off the lingering emptiness and grabbed her phone. Likes poured in, comments praised her beauty, followers shared her posts, tagged her, begged for selfies. The emptiness faded, at least for now. She did not know it yet, but the same fame lifting her higher every night was quietly preparing her fall. Every insult, every laugh, every bottle sprayed into the air, every careless word whispered to the wrong person, they were threads in a web that would one day unravel around her. And when that web tightened, Vanessa Stone would discover how fragile her world of luxury truly was. There was a time when Vanessa Stone was not loud. There was a time when she was not proud, reckless, or wild. There was a time when her laughter was soft, not forced, when her smile was genuine, not practiced, when she did not need a crowd to feel seen. Before the clubs, before the insults, before the endless nights that blurred into mornings, Vanessa was simply a good girl who loved her mother. Back then, the Stone mansion felt alive, not because of its size or beauty, but because of warmth. Vanessa woke up every morning to the sound of her mother moving around the kitchen. No alarms, no rushing, just the smell of food and gentle humming. She would walk in, still sleepy, and find her mother stirring soup slowly, carefully. "Come," her mother would say with a smile. "Taste it." Vanessa learned patience there. She learned gentleness. She learned that love could be quiet and still powerful. Sometimes they burned food. Sometimes they laughed until tears filled their eyes. Those moments mattered more than anything money could buy. In the evenings, they sat together in the living room. A Bible rested between them. Her mother read aloud, her voice calm and steady. Vanessa listened closely, sometimes asking questions, sometimes resting her head on her mother's shoulder. "Does God really listen?" Vanessa once asked. Her mother smiled. "He listens most when we whisper." They prayed together, simple prayers, honest prayers. Vanessa believed deeply. She believed God was close. She believed life made sense. Her father, Richard Stone, was rarely home. He traveled across countries, signing deals, shaking hands, building his electric automobile empire. When he was away, he sent money, gifts, promises. But it was her mother who filled the house with love. Then, slowly, things began to change. Her mother started getting tired more easily. She still smiled, but the smile did not last long. She lost weight. She rested more. She laughed softly when Vanessa asked questions. "I'm fine, my child," she always said. But Vanessa noticed. Hospital visits became normal. White walls, quiet rooms, machines humming softly. Doctors spoke in low voices, words too heavy for a young girl to understand. Vanessa sat beside her mother's bed every day, holding her hand, refusing to let go. At night, she prayed silently. "Please heal her. I'll be good. I promise. I'll do anything." But her mother grew weaker. Her father was still traveling. Each time Vanessa called him, his voice sounded distant, busy, distracted. "I'll come soon," he said. He didn't. One morning, the mansion felt wrong. Too quiet, too still. Vanessa woke up and knew before anyone spoke. Her mother was gone. At the burial, Vanessa stood beside the grave, her body present but her soul somewhere else. People spoke words she could not hear. Comfort came, but it did not reach her heart. She searched the crowd for her father. He arrived late. That hurt more than anything else. As the coffin was lowered into the ground, something inside Vanessa cracked. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. That day, Vanessa made a vow inside her heart. She vowed never to forgive her father. She vowed never to trust God again. If God listened, she thought, my mother would still be here. And slowly, so slowly that no one noticed at first, the girl she used to be began to disappear. Faith turned into anger. Silence turned into rebellion. Pain turned into pride. And the world would soon meet a different Vanessa Stone. Not the girl who prayed, but the girl who stopped believing.
Margaret Stone entered the mansion like someone sent by fate, but her heart carried hidden intentions. After the death of Vanessa's mother, the Stone mansion lost its soul. The hallways felt longer, the laughter disappeared, the warmth faded into silence. Mr. Richard Stone buried his grief in work, flying from one country to another, expanding his electric automobile empire while avoiding the emptiness waiting for him at home. That was when Margaret appeared. Not suddenly, not loudly, but carefully. Richard met Margaret at a high-profile charity business dinner in Victoria Island. She was not the most beautiful woman in the room, but she was observant. She noticed the way people lowered their voices when Richard walked past, the way waiters rushed, the way powerful men waited patiently for his attention. She listened more than she spoke. She asked thoughtful questions. She laughed softly at the right moment. By the end of the night, she already knew his name, his company, and how lonely he was. That same night, she went home and sat beside her boyfriend. "He's rich," she said calmly, "very rich, and broken." Her boyfriend smiled. "Then don't miss this chance." From that moment, Margaret began placing herself everywhere Richard might be. Charity events, business launches, foundation meetings. Each encounter felt accidental. Each conversation felt comforting. She spoke gently about family. She admired his discipline. She listened when he spoke about his late wife. To Richard, she felt like peace after years of grief. Soon, she was visiting the mansion. Vanessa noticed immediately. At first, Margaret wore kindness like a costume. She smiled at Vanessa in front of the staff, praised her beauty, asked polite questions about school, and defended her once or twice in Richard's presence. But something felt wrong. Margaret's kindness felt rehearsed. Her smiles never reached her eyes. One evening, Richard called Vanessa. "Come home for dinner," he said. "I want you to meet someone important." Vanessa arrived to find Margaret seated at her late mother's dining table. The sight made her chest tighten. That night, Margaret played the perfect woman. "Vanessa, you're so intelligent," she said warmly. "Your father must be so proud of you." Vanessa smiled politely, but watched closely. Margaret laughed softly, touched Richard's arm too gently, spoke as if she already belonged. After dinner, Richard cleared his throat. "I have something to say," he announced. Vanessa looked up. "I intend to marry Margaret." The word hit Vanessa like cold water. "What?" she asked sharply. Margaret lowered her head shyly, pretending to be embarrassed. "Dad," Vanessa said carefully, "it's too soon." Richard frowned. "I deserve happiness." "I'm not saying you don't. I'm saying she's not right." Silence filled the room. Later that night, Vanessa confronted her father privately. "Dad, I don't trust her," she said honestly. "She feels fake. She watches me too much." Richard sighed deeply. "You're being difficult. She's been good to me." "She's pretending," Vanessa insisted. But Richard had already decided. He married Margaret weeks later. Vanessa attended the wedding with a heavy heart, watching a stranger step into her mother's place.
Behind the scenes, Margaret celebrated differently. That same night, she met her boyfriend secretly. "He's hooked," she whispered, smiling. "The house, the money, everything is within reach." "But the daughter?" her boyfriend asked. Margaret's eyes darkened. "She's the only obstacle." From that moment, Margaret's real work began. Whenever Richard returned tired, Margaret spoke calmly, almost sadly. "She came home late again. She doesn't respect you anymore. She wastes everything you worked for. I worry she's becoming uncontrollable." She never shouted, never accused directly. That was the danger. At first, Richard defended Vanessa, but doubt crept in. Margaret complained about Vanessa's clothes, her parties, her attitude. Then Margaret made her boldest move. She seduced Richard. Then she cried. Then she lied. She brought hospital documents, fake results, fake reports, claiming she was pregnant. "A boy," she whispered through tears. "Your heir." Richard was overwhelmed. A son, a legacy, a second chance. He never questioned the timing. Vanessa felt the change instantly, the coldness, the distance, the way she was slowly erased. Margaret now spoke openly, but gently. "She disrespects staff, she drinks too much, she ignores your calls." Each word carefully planted. As Vanessa escaped deeper into parties and reckless living, Margaret watched from a distance, satisfied. One night, she whispered the final poison into Richard's heart. "Maybe cutting her off will teach her sense." That same night, Vanessa laughed in a club, unaware that inside her own home, a silent decision was forming, a decision that would soon destroy her world.
That night was supposed to be just another party, another loud club, another expensive table, another night where money spoke louder than sense. Vanessa Stone arrived at one of Lagos's most exclusive parties dressed in shining designer clothes, her face glowing under flashing lights. Music filled the air. Bottles lined the table. People cheered when she walked in. Phones came out. Smiles appeared. To everyone watching, she still looked like the rich, untouchable girl. But inside, Vanessa was tired. Anger sat heavy in her chest, the cold silence at home, her father's emotional distance, Margaret's quiet, judging stares. She lifted her glass again and again, drinking faster than usual. Her friends laughed, urging her on. No one told her to slow down. No one cared enough to stop her. The music grew louder. The lights blurred. The room began to spin. Vanessa stood up to dance, but her legs felt weak. Her head throbbed. Suddenly, her body gave up. She bent forward and vomited on the floor, right there, in the middle of the party. The music paused. People gasped. Then, laughter. Instead of helping her, some guests stepped back. Others pulled out their phones. Videos started recording. Whispers spread like wildfire. Vanessa was too drunk to understand what was happening until camera flashes burned into her eyes. By morning, the damage was done. Vanessa woke up in her room with her head pounding. Her phone buzzed endlessly. Notifications flooded her screen. Not concern, not care, but cruelty. The video was everywhere. Blogs reposted it. Comment sections exploded with laughing emojis and insults. Strangers who once praised her beauty now mocked her downfall. For the first time in her life, Vanessa realized something terrifying. She could not buy silence. Margaret saw the video early that morning. Calm and calculated, she walked into Richard's study and placed her phone in front of him. "I'm worried about her," she said softly, her voice sweet but sharp beneath the surface. Richard watched the video in silence. His jaw tightened. Every lie Margaret had whispered over time suddenly felt real. Shame, anger, and disappointment twisted inside him. That evening, when Vanessa returned home, the mansion felt different. Cold, heavy, unwelcoming. The guards avoided her eyes as she walked in.
Margaret sat quietly in the living room. Richard stood near the staircase, waiting. "What is this?" he demanded, holding up his phone. Vanessa froze. Then, anger rose like fire. "So, now you care? You watched your daughter destroy herself for years and did nothing." "Don't raise your voice at me," thundered Richard. "Do you know what people are saying about my family? About me?" Vanessa laughed bitterly. "About you? Everything is always about you." Richard's face darkened. "You are a wayward child, Vanessa, wasting the years of my labor, my sweat, my wealth on alcohol, parties, and worthless things." Her hands shook. "Worthless things? You gave me money instead of love. You gave me cars instead of guidance. I built an empire for you, and you turned it into a joke." The argument grew louder, sharper. Ugly words filled the air. "And where were you when my mother was dying, traveling around the world with your concubines?" The room went silent. "You left her sick and alone. Then after she died, you brought another woman into this house to replace her. You didn't even wait." Richard staggered back as if struck. "Enough!" he yelled, clutching his chest. His breathing became uneven, but Vanessa was blinded by pain and rage. "You abandoned us, and now you want to act like a righteous father." Richard pressed his hand harder against his chest, his face pale. For a moment, fear flickered in his eyes, but his pride burned stronger. "You are no longer my daughter," he said, his voice trembling with fury. "Your money is cut off. Your cars are seized. Every account, every property in your name, gone." He turned sharply to the guards. "Throw her out." The words hit harder than any slap. Vanessa stood there, stunned, her heart shattering as the guards stepped forward. Her world, her wealth, her home, her father was gone. That night, everything she believed in collapsed. Vanessa Stone had just lost everything. The heavy gates of the Stone mansion slammed shut behind Vanessa with a sound that echoed like a final judgment. She stood there for a moment, staring at the towering walls that had once protected her from the world. The guards avoided her eyes. The house lights dimmed. Just like that, her name meant nothing. For the first time in her life, Vanessa Stone felt the crushing weight of being truly abandoned. No luxury cars waiting, no servants rushing forward, no father calling her back. Just silence. Her designer heels clicked against the long driveway as she walked away, each step heavy with pride and humiliation. She reached into her purse and counted the cash she had, barely enough for a short taxi ride. That small bundle of notes suddenly felt heavier than all the millions she once spent carelessly. With shaky hands, she hailed a cab. "Where to?" the driver asked, glancing at her soaked eyes and trembling lips. "Linda's place," Vanessa said quickly. Linda was her closest friend. At least, she used to be. The ride was quiet. Vanessa stared out the window as Lagos rushed past her, wondering how her life had collapsed in a single day. When they arrived, she rushed to the gate and pressed the bell. Linda opened the door just enough to peek out. "Vanessa," she said, surprised. Her eyes swept over Vanessa's wet clothes and broken expression. "I need help," Vanessa said, her voice cracking. "Just for tonight." Linda hesitated. Then she sighed. "I'm sorry. I live with my boyfriend now. This would cause problems." Vanessa's heart sank. "Linda, please. I have nowhere else to go." Linda avoided her eyes. "I really can't. I hope you understand." The door closed. Vanessa stood there, stunned. Her fingers shook as she dialed another number. "Tracy," she said when the call connected. "I need you." Tracy paused. "Vanessa, I heard about the video. This isn't a good time for me." "What do you mean?" Vanessa whispered. "My parents are around, and honestly, I don't want trouble right now," Tracy replied before hanging up. She called Nora next. "Vanessa, I'm out of town, Nora lied too quickly. Try someone else. One by one, excuses poured in. Busy, out of town, not safe, not convenient. Each call ended with the same truth. Her friendship had been rented, not earned. With no one left, Vanessa stepped onto the streets of Lagos. The rain began to fall. At first it was light, then heavy. Cold drops soaked her designer dress, clinging tightly to her skin. Her hair flattened against her face. The city lights reflected on the wet road, turning everything blurry and unreal. She walked aimlessly, her heels slipping in puddles, her feet aching, her pride completely shattered. Eventually, exhaustion won. She collapsed on a low step beside a closed roadside shop, hugging herself as she shivered. That was when she noticed movement. Voices, laughter. A group of street boys, Agbero, emerged from the shadows. Their eyes scanned her slowly, too slowly. See Bebo, one of them said, stepping closer. Fine girl in rain like this, no car, no escort. Vanessa stood up, fear racing through her veins. Please, I'm just passing. One of them grabbed her phone from her hand before she could react. Sharp phone, oh, he said, inspecting it. Original. Another reached for her wrist and pulled off her bracelet. Designer, he smirked. They circled her, blocking her path. Their laughter grew louder, uglier. Where you won't go now? This rain no good for lonely people. Vanessa's heart slammed against her chest. Please, she cried, her voice breaking. Take what you want. Just let me go. Their eyes lingered on her longer than before. The air felt thick with danger. She screamed, Help! Somebody help me! Her voice echoed down the street, swallowed by rain. Then suddenly, Hey! A strong voice cut through the night. The boys turned. A tall figure stood a few steps away, soaked but firm. Joshua. He held a thick stick in his hand, his posture calm but threatening. Drop what you took, he said. The boys hesitated. Then one scoffed, until Joshua took a step forward, his eyes hard. They dropped the phone and bracelet and scattered into the darkness, cursing as they ran. The rain returned to silence. Vanessa collapsed on her knees, shaking. Joshua picked up her phone and handed it to her without a word. Are you okay? He asked. She nodded, tears mixing with rain. Then recognition dawned in his eyes. Vanessa Stone, he said slowly, the same girl who insulted half the guys in class because they weren't rich enough. Shame burned her face. Joshua stepped back. I know who you are, and I know how you treated people. She swallowed hard. I'm not that person anymore. He scoffed. That's what people say when money disappears. Please, she whispered. I have nowhere else to go, just for tonight. Joshua hesitated. Rain dripped from his hair. He looked conflicted, angry, cautious, unwilling. I don't owe you anything, he said. I know, she replied softly, but I'm begging. Silence stretched between them. Finally, with a tired sigh, Joshua opened his umbrella and held it over her. Just tonight, he said firmly. Relief crashed over her like a wave. As they walked through the rain towards his modest home, Vanessa realized something painful and powerful. The world she once ruled meant nothing now, and the people she once looked down on were the only ones left standing beside her. Joshua led Vanessa through the rain-soaked streets of Lagos in silence. Water splashed with every step she took. Her once proud designer dress clung uncomfortably to her body, heavy with rain. Her heels, meant for marble floors and red carpets, kept sinking into muddy puddles. Every honking horn, every passing bus, every street light flickering above felt louder, harsher, more judgmental. Vanessa's teeth chattered, not just from the cold, but from shame. She had never walked like this before, never felt invisible, never felt small. Joshua walked a few steps ahead, his shoulders stiff, his grip firm on the umbrella. He didn't look back. He didn't ask if she was okay. And somehow, that hurt more than the rain. Finally, they reached his neighborhood. The slum stretched before her, narrow paths, uneven ground, dim lights hanging loosely from wires. Small houses pressed close together like they were leaning on each other for survival. The smell of damp earth and cooking smoke filled the air. Joshua stopped in front of a modest house. "This is it," he said. Vanessa stared. The walls were worn, paint peeling in places. The yard was muddy, uneven, with old buckets stacked by the side. There were no gates, no guards, no cars parked outside. Her heart tightened. She had lived her entire life behind walls higher than this house. Joshua pushed the door open. Inside, the light was warm but weak. Simple chairs, bare floors, a small table. Nothing decorative, nothing expensive, nothing unnecessary. Vanessa felt like a stranger on another planet. Before she could take another step, a woman appeared from the inner room. "Joshua," she said, then stopped short when she saw Vanessa. "Jesus Christ! Joshua, you've never brought a girl home before." Vanessa froze. Her soaked hair dripped on the floor. Her makeup was ruined. Her pride was already gone. She started, but no words came. Joshua cleared his throat. "Mama, she was in danger. I couldn't leave her outside." His mother's expression softened immediately. She walked closer, her eyes scanning Vanessa, not with judgment, but concern. "Look at you," she said gently. "You're freezing." She disappeared briefly and returned with a towel and a folded set of clothes. "Go inside and change," she said kindly. "They're not fancy, but they're clean." Vanessa took the clothes with trembling hands. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Inside the small bathroom, Vanessa stared at herself in the mirror. She barely recognized the girl staring back. Gone was the confident heiress. Gone was the untouchable princess of Lagos nightlife. What remained was a broken, frightened young woman wearing borrowed clothes in a stranger's house. She changed slowly. When she came back out, Joshua barely looked at her. His mother brought her a warm cup of tea. "Sit," she said. "Tell us what happened." Vanessa hesitated. Then the truth poured out. Her father's anger, the argument, the words she could never take back, being thrown out, her friends turning their backs on her, the streets, the rain, the boys. Her voice shook as she spoke. "I thought money made me untouchable," she admitted, staring at the floor. "I thought people loved me. I was wrong." Joshua finally looked at her. His expression was hard. "You insulted people," he said bluntly. "You mocked guys in class. You treated everyone like they were beneath you." Vanessa nodded, tears filling her eyes. "I know. You deserve some of this," he continued. "You should leave as soon as possible." The words cut deep. Before Vanessa could respond, his mother stood up sharply. "Joshua," she scolded. She placed a firm hand on his arm. "Do you forget what the Bible says?" She looked straight into his eyes. "Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due when it is in your power to act." Proverbs 3, verse 27. "She is hungry, she is cold, she is in need," her mother said softly. "This house may be small, but it has room for mercy." Joshua exhaled slowly. Vanessa's chest tightened. No one had defended her like that before. "Thank you," Vanessa said quietly, tears slipping down her face. "I don't deserve this kindness." His mother smiled gently. "Sometimes, child, kindness is not about what you deserve. It's about who we choose to be." Later, Joshua showed her to a tiny room. The bed was old, the mattress thin, the room barely fit the bed and a chair. But it was dry, it was safe, it was hers for the night. As Vanessa lay down staring at the cracked ceiling, her mind raced. No security cameras, No guards, no luxury, just silence, just reality. For the first time in her life, she understood what it meant to depend on grace instead of money. As sleep slowly claimed her, a strange peace settled in her chest. Maybe losing everything was not the end. Maybe it was the beginning. And with that thought, Vanessa Stone's world of luxury, arrogance, and indulgence finally came to an end. A new chapter, one of humility, struggle, and transformation, had quietly begun. Hey, amazing viewers! I hope you truly enjoyed part 1 of Vanessa Stone's story, from the dazzling life of luxury and parties to the shocking fall into the streets of Lagos, and finally finding a humble refuge with Joshua. What a roller coaster, right? If you loved this story, make sure to subscribe to my channel, Folktales with Oni, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next part of this incredible tale. I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments what you learned from Vanessa's journey so far. Was it about humility, friendship, or the dangers of arrogance? I'll be reading all your thoughts. And while you wait for part 2, which promises to be even more mysterious, mind-blowing, and full of surprises, don't forget to check out the next recommended story on the channel. I promise you'll enjoy it just as much, and it will keep you hooked. Remember, every story here on Folktales with Oni is designed to teach, entertain, and inspire. So hit that like button, share with friends, and let's continue this journey together. Until next time, keep watching, keep learning, and get ready for part 2. It's going to change everything you thought you knew about Vanessa Stone.